For anyone who's for the first time here, welcome to OKR Lean Coffee. This is a monthly Lean Coffee. Sandy, Felix, and I'm organizing. And our goal with this Lean Coffee is to get OKR practitioners together to ask difficult questions that we don't have answers within the organizations we work for, and get the ideas from outside, other perspectives, and maybe sharing and learning experiences from with others. This is the goal of Lean Coffee. So there is no agenda. You are going to do the agenda. I'm going to share a link to a Miro board. We will collect your questions there first. And then we will pitch these questions briefly so everyone understands what's the question about. And then we will start voting. The top voted one is the first topic we start with for 8 minutes. After 8 minutes is over, we will ask, do we want to carry on talking about it, or is it enough for now? I will ask to show your thumbs up or down. And depending on your decision, we either go to the next topic or we will extend to 4 more minutes the existing topic. That's how it goes for an hour approximately. So let's see how many questions we get to cover. And that's it, actually, how OKR Lean Coffee is working. So I have the honor to host to moderate today's session, and I will help you if you have any questions technically or regarding the format and so on. So first things first, I'm going to share the link in Miro chat. In Zoom chat, sorry, it's the Miro link. And if you are there, then just follow me by clicking on my picture on the right corner, top corner. And then you will see that I'm already in front of a board which says topics and a light green board. And you will see already a post-it from my side, which I brought for today's session. And this way you can, in a similar way, you can write your questions now. Just grab a post-it and start writing. If you have trouble with Miro or whatsoever, just let me know. Usually you don't need even an account to get to this board. You can go as visitor. You don't need to log into Miro or sign up for it. I see the first questions coming in. And I'll do screen sharing for just in case someone hasn't found it yet. There we are. I'll give it like 2 minutes. Let's see how many questions we get. Add your name to your post-it so we know from whom the question is. Hi Manoj, welcome. Nice to see you again. And nice to see you soon, I guess, this week. I just sent you the Miro link in the chat.
Yeah, okay.
For everyone just coming in chat, there's the Miro link. We are collecting questions, as you can see in the screen I'm sharing. So I see some movement still, so I will wait till everyone wrote down their last sentences, and then we will start pitching the questions. All right, no movement anymore. Let's do it. Now, I'm going to do the first start just to show you how I pitch my questions quickly. It's not about, talking about it for 5 minutes, just in a minute to give the idea what you are curious about, and then so people understand what's your topic. So my topic is I'm curious about, because we are at the beginning of this year, and I know in the last quarter and the first quarter of the years is like the strategy time. I'm curious how you do your OKR or strategy process. So how did you set your strategic focus for 2024? Maybe you personally, or maybe in the organization, how was all the process? Any practical information? I'm really curious about it. So that's my topic. Now I go next to Maria.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Hello everybody. My topic is very simple. I just want to hear your opinion about the benefits from OKRs for the team. Not for the leaders, not for individuals, not for organization in general, but for the team as a group of people with some common ground. So thank you.
All right, thanks for the question, Maria. Natalia.
Yeah, it's my recent situation that sometimes I met this situation when I was invited to provide a OKR session. And to set up a quarterly OKR, we need the strategy. So to announce strategy first, to recall. And after strategy presentation, then during strategy presentation, the big ergo started between founders, owners of the company, and top managers, and they disagree on strategy. So they have very different views of strategy, and it's happened on a OKR planning session. Okay. What should be your suggestions? Yeah, I'm very curious.
All right, thanks, Natalia. Yes, here, please.
Yeah, so I think there is a very thin line between being aspirational and being realistic. So what are the the practices that you can implement to ensure that the team is being really aspirational and not, of course, being something that they can deliver, because I have noticed in my team that the last couple of quarters we have done 100% of our OKRs, and I really feel that they're being very conservative because they like the idea of finishing 100% OKR. So how do you give them that spark that says that okay, it's you need to be aspirational, don't be crazy, but still be aspirational.
All right, thanks. Yes, sir. Buse.
Hello, everyone. My question is about actually planning the OKRs. I mean, I have experienced two different styles of OKR. Like in my previous company, actually, we are doing this like the executive level determined the objectives, and all the partners are determined their own key results. But now I am in a company that all the key results and objectives are determined by the executives. I'm levels. I just wonder your opinion about it.
All right, thank you very much, Buse. Martin.
Good morning, everyone. And as I entered, I think I overheard Felix mentioning New Year's resolutions. And my question would be, if time permits, for your recommendations, probably even just by writing in the chat about something expands your knowledge, enhances and deepens it, would be in form of literature or courses or meetups like this. So I would be very grateful for recommendations.
Right. We also have in Miro, I will just show you quickly a pin board. So, if you have any links for Martin, just put it here in the Miro board and get in touch with each other maybe. All right. Thank you. And Felix.
Yeah, so I've also been working with OKR in a company, and they have one area which is very agile, so already more or less a little bit more outcome oriented, and other teams which have to work on having a shared goal first, because that is actually new for them, because they were first working on, okay, whatever the manager told them this week. So I'm wondering if there are any hints for collaborating between teams who are on very different levels regarding OKRs.
Great, thank you. I will skip to Manoj first, Natalia, if that's okay.
Yeah, mine is very similar to what Marija is put in as well. It's like, how do you build OKRs within team along with personal development goals? So like, how do you align individuals' personal development to a team OKR, which can be aligned to the organizational OKRs as well? So.
All right, individual or team OKRs. Thank you. And Aisha.
Hi, everyone. My question is about cascading or laddering up, if it's still relevant for alignments where there are already like predetermined strategic themes from the context of the overall corporate strategy. So, I mean, would it still be relevant to try and apply either laddering it up or cascading it?
Great. Thank you, Aisha. And Natalia again.
Maybe I can skip this question or add with your first question, Chancelia, because it's just about the format, the form of
how you do your
strategy presentation. Right. Yeah, because sometimes we assess strategy goals in a BST format. Sometimes it's like a pyramid of values, and yeah.
I see. So I'm starting the voting session right now. Just a second. I will just keep that out here. Natalia, you know what I mean. So if you vote, just vote in one post-it. There we go. And the voting starts. Anyone knows how Miro voting works? Maybe I explain it quickly. As soon as I start the voting, you will get an invitation and then click on join voting. Then you will be able to see these post-its with a blue bubble next to it. And when you click on the bubble, then you voted actually. Then there's a plus icon, and then you voted in that time. So that it's actually that easy. If you don't see the pop-up, maybe it's behind your windows or something. Just check this out. If you have any trouble, just let me know. And let's start. You have 3 votes, by the way. My Miro board is somehow stopped doing something. I will close my board and coming back again. Give me a second. Do you also have trouble with Miro in the last months?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They have really severe problems, I have the feeling.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Yeah. And it makes me anxious because everything I have is in Miro board.
Yes.
So
I was facilitating an OKR planning recently, and the board glitched right during
dear.
that planning. But it glitched during that 10-minute break, and it came back just as we started again. So we got lucky that time, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Have you tried the desktop version? I just downloaded yesterday.
Desktop.
They have
I've
desktop
been using
version.
it the whole time. The desktop version.
Desktop.
Yeah.
It's
It's
and
definitely
it
better
also
than the
glitching.
browser. Yeah, that's true.
The votes are in.
So the vote is ended. Did you say, Sandy?
Yeah. You don't see it?
I still don't see it. I'm still loading it.
Okay. I can
Okay,
share my
now
screen
I
if
think
you
I
want.
can see it now.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I see 5 votes for Yasser's question.
Yeah.
I just make a
Sandy,
screenshot.
can you move Yasser's question already to the middle? And I will sort them out, the other ones. Awesome. Then Felix's question has 5 votes. Then my question has 4 votes. I will sort them out in a second. So let's start with Yasser's question. Yasser, you have 8 minutes. You can give an introduction again. For the discussion, please use the hand reaction mode if you want to say something, so we are able to see who wants to go next, and then we will carry on. I will start the timer in Miro board right away.
Yeah. So, I mean, the background to this is that, when we started with OKRs for the first 4 to 5 quarters, we were doing, we would almost never be able to complete OKRs. Our OKRs, I mean, we would be around 50%, 60%. And then, we tried to, the team sort of, for 1 quarter, they said, let's to be very realistic, very practical. Okay, and then we achieved sort of 100% of it. And now I feel they've got used to that good feeling of seeing that, OKRs are at 100%. But I feel that they're always very conservative when they are, discussing their OKRs. And it's not really a very aspirational, very ambitious kind of targets. They always look at, the worst case scenario, what could happen, and then they base their key results on that. So I don't know if anyone has any any practices to implement. We've tried to do psychological safety, try to encourage them to put things, but I think they just got used to this good feeling of seeing 100% OKR done. So
thanks. Felix, go ahead.
So then I guess the question, how many goals do they have? Is it like five or something, or is it just 1 or 2 that they're having?
The maximum we have in a quarter are 2 objectives, with each one of them having maybe like 3 key results maximum.
And did you share a success story of what a moonshot might look like? That is, say, if you reach for 1,000 instead of 100, you reach 250. That's already an improvement and gets you to different mode of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I think so. We were, the first 4 or 5 quarters that I mentioned, we were doing it that way. But I think the team felt that this got them, I wouldn't say stressed, but, sort of in a way where they could not focus. Instead of, they knew that they could do only like 50. And then if they were targeting 75 or 80, they were always playing catch up. And that's the feeling that they did not like, like, okay, every time we sort of behind the curve, even though no one has ever complained to us and said, oh, why are your OKRs not completed or whatever. But then I feel I'm unable to convey this message to them that, it's really okay to have a moonshot and then not be able to complete it. I feel they're just being all conservative.
Yeah, so to be honest, I would like to ask you the question, why do you want them to write moonshots in the first place?
Yeah, because, as I mentioned, they always look at things which are, worst case scenario. Okay, if we are doing this and we have like 10 teams to roll out, or what if these teams don't agree? What if these, so, okay, so then out of 10, we just say, let's select 4. And we are able to do these 4 within a month and a half of the quarter, so the remaining quarter, we have done the OKR and now we are focusing on something else. So, so this is what I try to explain to them. Like, last time we took 4, we finished them within less than 2 months. So why not push it a little bit?
So I have 2 things to share. First is when I do retrospectives or reviews with the teams, I tend to ask them how they assess themselves. If they assess themselves rather in the comfort zone, growth zone, or learning zone. So, and then let them talk about it, right? And if you realize that they move always in the comfort zone, because they will be honest to themselves in that case, right? So, and then ask the question, what can we do to get into the learning zone? What hinders us to get into the learning or to growth zone even? And maybe start the conversation there. And I guess to figure out what's hindering them not to, move out of the comfort zone, actually. That would be my idea in this case. Sandy.
Another perspective that came to my mind was how do you work with the teams after the planning and during the planning. So during the planning, you say they always aim for worst case scenario. I would assume that if you would facilitate a planning, you'd nudge them into maybe think of the best case scenario. You do that?
You mean planning for the OKRs, right?
Yeah.
This is where, I try to push them and say, okay, because I know we have the capacity to, let's say, do 10, and if everything goes well, it is 10. So
right.
when I propose the 10 and push them a little bit, they would say, oh, but then, a lot of things can go wrong. These teams can be on holidays and they don't come back. And then, we are left with things incomplete. I have a feeling that their issue is incomplete stuff. They don't like to see that. So
right.
Even though I'm trying to say that, okay, if out of 10 we achieve 7, it's okay. It's not incomplete. It's just that 3 would be for the next quarter. So, but I feel, maybe the mistake was to really allow them to do it very conservatively for a few quarters, because now they got used to it. Now they like this 100%, seeing 100% on the OKR. They're like, oh, excellent. And then in the, as you were mentioning, Johnson, in the retrospective, they always mention this, oh, OKRs were 100%. So, as a good thing. So they, and if it is not, they're like, not good about it. So this aspirational aspect of OKRs, I think I have failed to convey it to them. It's somehow I'm not able to reach their mind saying, this is not just regular sprint planning where you are putting what we can achieve. It is more ambitious. So,
Natalia.
Yeah, I just put this Mihai Chinks and Mihai diagram. Maybe you can you know this, and also I put on the right slide the book about flow. And I very often when I'm at this situation, I describe this conception of the flow. That if you have some level of skill and some level of challenge, if you take two easy task and you have a very low skill, so it's apathy. If you have a more proficient skill, you are bored or you relaxed, and it came to some burnout. And also, if you have very, very challenging task, and you don't have skill for this, you can feel anxiety, and also can lead to burnout. And the best place when you have a lot of skills, and you take very, very challenging task. It leads to the flow state. And in a research of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the state influences the happiness. And when we set up OKRs in this point, we make all of company and each team member happy physiologically, neurophysiologically. And I just ask them, okay, this key result in which in which part of this diagram, where is it, and in which state you want to be.
Yeah, great
And
idea, Natalia.
yeah.
I really like it. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for that. So you heard it. Shall we carry on? Show your thumbs up. If you say it's enough, let's move on. Then show your thumbs down.
Let's move on. I see.
I see more down, Yasir. So
Yeah.
that's and you yourself even too. So you seem to have some ideas how to cope with that. Next topic is Felix' topic. Go ahead, Felix.
Yes, so we did have two different, or like several different departments, and one department is working with more outcome-oriented goals. Fun fact, they actually have too much on their plate, but still. And other departments first have to see how they can actually say, okay, we are working towards one shared goal, but so having this one shared goal is a lot coming from the very top then as well. So they're not really self-empowered yet. And so if as an agile department, you're asking, okay, so how do we get to talk with other teams, what they need, what the priorities are, because the other teams are very much still used to having somebody else tell them what to do. But now that they would at least have one goal, I mean, it's kind of progress for them. But then how do you talk with those teams, negotiate, and have an idea of what you can achieve together to smoothen up that process?
I'll go first, maybe. I don't see any hands commenting. My first idea is, Felix, if the maturity level is low of the team, I would say they need even maybe more leadership in the team, to give them the idea of the strategic context, help them with developing tactical ideas and so on. So involve more leadership team in a team where you don't have that high maturity level about the topics in that case. Yeah. So I'm not sure about which maturity level we are talking. If it's the context related, so about the product, about what we are developing and so on, and we have inexperienced people in this area, then I would involve more leadership. If it's about a maturity level of doing OKRs, writing OKRs, outcome OKRs, and so on, then I would involve definitely experienced OKR experts, champions, maybe as a facilitator, moderator, as an expert, or also as a team member who has been part of other OKR teams, who has the experience to work with OKRs. So, and maybe it's a combi of both. My first idea.
So I'm mainly working with a team that's working in an agile mode, and they sometimes need something from the other team, but I'm not really that much working with those.
Yeah. Any other ideas from others? What do you think? How would you deal with it?
I mean, sorry, I did not raise my hand, but
go ahead.
I think when we have this situation, I mean, whether it's OKR related or not OKR related, what we try to do is a lot of pair programming or pair working, So we have people from the teams that are, maybe more mature, pair working with the teams that are not so mature, so that, that kind of maturity seeps into the teams that are not that mature, in terms of processes, in terms of ways of working, in terms of knowledge. And that goes for OKRs also, because then, like the struggle that I'm having of some of them not being very optimistic or very ambitious, if you have some who are very high level, they can, instill into them that, the way of thinking, right? So this is what I usually do whenever I feel there is a disbalance between the teams, to use a lot of more pair working.
Great idea. Yes, definitely.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Did you have frustration like Felix? That's interesting. It's a highly voted topic, but no one wants to talk about it.
Everyone
I'm
wants
just,
the answers.
I'm just
on it.
writing for the
Mhm.
waiting a message for the waiting room. That's fine.
I think, Chancel, you give so comprehensive answer. It just
No, I don't believe that.
This is not an Ask Chancel Anything session, but a LeanCoffee.
What have you already tried, Felix?
Well, since one of the challenge for our own team is that we're having too much on our plate, one of the other ideas that I'm having there is focus. So to say, like, okay, what is in our circle of influence that we can directly influence, because that might also be a bigger lever. And I mean, if you then have, my idea is if you have one team where it works well, that you can show where those positive impacts are, then you can inspire other teams to work more in that mode as well. But if you're introducing OKRs and all teams are somehow still struggling, then I figure like, okay, make it work well in one area and then scale that. And then at the moment, not necessarily getting from the other teams what we really need is an impediment or a challenge, but maybe not the biggest one. But I also try to say, like, with the management, okay, do you have a shared goal that you can work on cross departments, to say like, okay, one of the OKR goals might actually be, we want to be a positive example for collaboration. So even if a company has a lot of things where people say like, oh, I do my everyday work, and then I'm not really motivated to reach that goal, maybe becoming a positive example and then therefore shining inside the company might be another intrinsic motivation for them, and then trying to build on that as an idea.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Aisha, please go ahead.
Hi. We've encountered something similar, and what we did and what I tried to encourage was more of the OKR buddies. Those are like the squad team that goes round to check, during the weekly check-ins, and then just to see what challenges they have and see how they can create a better alignment. And get that feedback. And then during before we do the quarterly, we have still monthly sessions where we share this feedback and then be able to show them, okay, if this department is doing so well in this area, what are those lesson points or areas that, another department can leverage. That's one thing that we've done, and I found that very useful, having that, okay, our buddies going everywhere, and then the buzz is there, the tone is there, the language is there, the excitement is there. And then also in addition to that is getting them to attend a similar program. So the emphasis initially was like, oh, okay, for the team leads and more senior people, they would go through this, leadership, OKR leadership training, and it will just be for them, while others just, would have like sort of that basic OKR understanding. But I decided, no, let everybody actually have that exposure to the OKR leadership training and let them see how everything starts from the top and how it percolates down to everybody. Limiting it to just the leadership, for me, I found that it was isolating a lot of things. But by exposing it to everyone, irrespective of, how junior they were, they got to see the bigger picture. And so it helped them to key in faster and align more aptly with that and try to just, be more up to speed with what was expected of them.
Awesome.
They're treated more like adults. Yeah.
OKR buddies, I really like that term. Thanks, Aisha, for sharing. We have 8 minutes is finished, so a thumbs up if you want to carry on talking about it, or down. Show me your thumbs. Yes, all right. So let's move to the next topic. I'm just moving that now to done discussed. Next topic was the topic about the strategic process. Also, the question Natalia also asked about how is your strategic process in your organizations? How do you cope with that? How do you make sure that the strategic focus you had and the OKRs you worked on contributed to your strategy, and how do you adapt it for the next year? So how is that working for you? Things that are not working or things that are working well?
So for the yearly time frame, right? Not the quarterly.
Well, that's also the question, Felix, probably. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So for us, we have we have like 14 product teams, and then at the top of it, we have the management for those product teams. They share their vision for the year, or basically the top priority items at the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, they share it like, third or fourth week of January. So basically our first quarter OKRs are basically just dependent on maybe the last year's priorities or whatever we had. Something it's not really aligned with what they had in mind. Of course, they give hints during the previous year, but then they are really solidified only at the end of January. So then basically the thing that is most probably not working for us is that they are not very target based things to achieve. They are more directional, so we want more automation, we want more these kind of things. So I think it makes it the work a bit easier in the sense that we are easy to align, which of the top priorities that as our product team we can link to in terms of strategy. But then it doesn't really give us a target, so we basically need to create our own target. So maybe this is what the sort of suggestion I've given the management is that, if we can make it a little more tangible, then we know as a product team that, okay, how much we need to achieve. So that's, it's the good thing is that making it a bit more generic helps more teams to align, because it's, it gives them that reason. But yeah, I mean, not making it very tangible does not also give you a proper target.
I see. All right. Thanks, Yasser. Felix?
Yeah, so I've been working with, I'm working with a customer at the moment, and I had another similar one. And the experience is there that they often plan something already for the whole year in advance. And then they have something like SAFE or something saying like, okay, we have 14 different teams that need to collaborate, and we already prescribe you a time frame or something. So a little bit too much in detail. Or what I understand, similar to what Yasser was describing, a little bit too much high level and too generic. And therefore, they don't really get to any point where the teams can say, okay, that provides enough orientation to build our goals on. So on something that we've also been trying at the moment is to go for quarterly goals first and saying like, okay, the teams see potential and they bring that and actually come up with their own OKR goals first. And then they bring that together in a big round where they can see either do we have clashes of capacity or do we need other teams, or do we have something shared around that? And then the teams are coming a little bit more with potential and what is actually achievable in one quarter, and then building on that and expanding on that and saying, okay, how can also the management then learn from that and say like, okay, what do good goals look like? What is realistic and what might we achieve in more than a quarter? And then spinning from the more detailed to the more generic, but by also already having an idea of what is going on inside the company first, and not just setting things out of thin air and gut feeling from the management.
All right. Thanks, Felix. Sandy?
I'm working with a client at the moment. They just they defined their strategy for 2024 with a midterm goal. So with a mole basically. And they didn't only define the midterm goal with like a few sentences, but they also defined some key questions for the teams. So it's a pilot of 9 teams. and they were looking for like a very specific part of their company vision. It's all about digitization well, making their product less dependent on human workers, basically. And so what they did, they created an artifact around this mole statement with key questions for the teams, basically like how might we questions for the teams. So they could, like have like a guiding question for their OKR plannings and have the mole more tangible for them. That's what they did.
All right, also a nice idea. What about when we look back to last year? How were the feedback loops? So as far as I hear, everyone says once a year we set a strategic focus or strategic goal, and then we have our quarterly or trimester OKRs, actually with the aim of contributing to this strategic goal. But how do we make sure that these OKRs really contribute to strategy? How is your feedback loop there? And do you adapt either your OKRs or your strategy depending on what happens throughout the year? So what are the strategic feedback loops in place? Natalia? I'm not sure if you raised your hand exactly for that question.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I can talk about some more small clients where I'm providing the session for top management and lead them a little bit on this way and this process. And what I do with them when we provide the last retrospective of the first quarter. On every retrospective, we compare, we put write down their strategy and their OKRs, and participants estimate, okay, how we really move forward our strategy. It's a first question, how our OKRs really moved us there. And if there any correction in a strategy should be after we learned on this quarter. So we do this every retrospective. And then on a planning session, so on the end of the year, usually it's divided. So retrospective session, then strategic session, and then OKR planning session. But even in the middle of the year, and some companies set up their strategy session, strategy goals not in December, but in the summer, because it's more convenient to gather all people together. So it's shifted. So it's our way. On retrospective session, and then on the beginning of the planning session, when they present the strategic goals first, and then we set up OKRs and also estimate.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your inputs. Do you want to carry on with that question or move on to the next topic? Let's move on. What do we have? I don't know. Our Maria is not there anymore, so we go to Natalia's question.
And this question is really connected with the previous one.
Yeah? Go ahead. 8 minutes started.
Just simple situation. Maybe you also with this. When owners or top management of a company disagree with each other which strategy it should be, and it doesn't matter if you provided this strategy session or they did it by themselves. Sometimes some not big companies, small companies, so they even don't know that it's very useful to hire some expert to provide strategic session, and they just sitting around and just doing by themselves. And then on the OKR session appears that they disagree. So what is your experience and what do you do?
Felix, did you have a situation like this?
Well, I did have in the past sometimes where people said, well, what do we focus on? Oh, everything's important. So I figured that might have been something a little bit similar. And then the question is, or also in the retrospective, where we said like there's so many different things that we can do, and then the question is, okay, for the next time frame, what is an experiment that we might try? And in this case, what spontaneously comes to mind is you say, okay, you have 3 owners, then for the first 3 quarters of a year, then everybody gets 1 quarter to be the dominant person with their thing, and then say, okay, then you draw like who gets which quarter, and then they can do that. And if they then see that the company is going like zigzag into different directions, so it's counterproductive, then you say like, okay, then how about you come up with something how you're more aligned together, because you see what the negative consequences are if you are not aligned in your goals. If it's working positively because one wants to focus more on quantity, another one maybe more on quality or something, so it's actually positive, then they can keep going like that. Just a spontaneous idea.
All right. Any other ideas? Been in a situation like this?
I mean, thankfully for me, I've not been in a situation like this, but I just feel discussing OKRs when the strategy has not been decided seems to be a step too early.
Yeah.
I think, it does not really make sense unless you say, okay, teams are free to do their own kind of prioritization and select their own OKRs. But if you are looking at alignment with top level, directions, I think doing an OKR session when the owners are still fighting on the strategy seems to be, I won't say waste of time, but not very fruitful.
Yeah. I would have said the same, Yasser. Maybe it's too early, Natalia, to start with OKRs if the founders are not agreed on the strategy yet. Manos.
Yeah. Last time, instead of setting OKRs, we 16 hours with the whole team. Yeah, we set up. They name it Ultimate OKR,
Okay.
but we set up a strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, in my experience, it's like if multiple stakeholders are the owners of the driver for the organization, then I think trying to align them into a common outcome, like either it's connected to sustainability or carbon footprint reduction, or something which each one needs to align and then connect that to an ESG initiative. So then each one has got to show that they are actually being party to actually cut the carbon footprint. Doesn't matter, and it's again can be aligned to a digital journey as well. So transitioning some of the manual interventions or carbon footprint from the logistic background, how do they cut down and how do they partner with the new partnerships with a common purpose, which is actually brought together as a set of rules or best practices which everyone agrees towards, and then constantly review, is that working or not? Might be a good way to actually bring people together from multiple business organizations. If that's the challenge, the owners are not ready to accept one, because like in my environment currently where I work, we had a merger between assessment and then publication. So publication is more into printing books, where assessment is more exam oriented. But each one has got paper trail within the business, and it's just how do you cut down that carbon footprint reduction to align with ESG and sustainability is a big question. But to tackle that, you need to start small and then review that ongoing to make it happen.
Yeah. Thanks, Manoj.
Welcome.
Yeah, maybe also have teams come with proof of what already worked in the past and what they want to work more on. And so they see potential proven in numbers and not just in gut feeling, which I assume is the challenge that the management has, because a lot of what they do is on gut feeling. And so get the teams in a more expert position, so they can then at some point decide and only need a tiebreaker. Do we do more of this or that? Because both is focused on numbers and not, just everything in gut feeling.
Yasser?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I was just thinking about what I said earlier, that it would be a good thing to also do an experiment to see that, to ask the team that, okay, if there were no restrictions or boundaries of top level strategy, and you had your destiny in your hands, what would you do as a team? Where you would like to focus, where you would like to do. And then, you can actually compare when the top level comes in as to, what the gap is, are the teams trying to do things that are maybe the strategy is not aligned with that, or, because the one thing that I really like about OKR is when the team start thinking that, okay, no, we should go in this direction, we should go, because that really, I think so makes the team stronger. So maybe you can just, in the absence of strategy, do it with your own team and say, okay, we don't have the strategy, but then what would the teams like to do, just to see if there is a gap in their both of their understandings.
I have an idea about experimenting on the strategy, Natalia, because your challenge is here to get the founders on the same table, that they agree, so they don't have this conflict anymore. So the best way is probably, how can we test our assumptions on strategy as quickly as possible to see which one's idea is more promising, right? So and work through that. So before you go into the teams with OKRs, maybe you do your OKRs on that level first. And let them create their assumptions, hypotheses, and ask them to prove these assumptions, validate them as soon as possible, to decide which strategy direction we should take on. So I don't know which are the conflicts behind that. There could be a personal conflict, could be really that they are not data informed and so on. And maybe you get them on the same table with these kind of assumption validations.
Yeah,
All right, time is up.
thank you.
Thumbs up if you want to carry on with this topic.
Yeah, we
Or-
can
Well, we
go.
have
Yeah,
only 5
thank
minutes
you
left.
for all of your suggestions. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. We have 5 minutes left. So shall we move on with Aisha's questions quite quickly, nevertheless, and see how it goes? And I will just give like 3 minutes so we have enough time to say goodbye. Aisha, please go ahead.
Thank you. In fact, it's drawing from the discussion around, the strategy first or the OKR. So we have a new executive and he has a different approach to OKRs, even though I've, tried to sensitize, educate him about, how the OKR principles are. Ideally, the strategy comes first. We have, the themes, the pillars, and that would, be what we will supposedly cascade or ladder up. So because he's new, I've also been cautious in, allowing for him to have his say to a certain extent that will help, because we really need, the executive support from the top, because it really gets everyone aligned. So now the challenge that we're having is like, okay, yes, we have our strategy. We have our 5 key goals that, we're driving for the organization. But he has advised that no, let everybody go and come up with their own ideas, and let's see how it goes. So I'm thinking, well, if they don't have the blueprint of the strategy, how would they be able to draw from that and articulate how, as a department, I want to key into that and achieve or drive it and support it and be part of my agenda and be relevant to it? So I kind of see the disconnect. I'm a bit, perturbed that, it may not align eventually. But even yesterday when we had a discussion, he still said no. And this was like, but the rest of the OKR buddies, and he was saying, oh no, let's just allow them to come up with their own ideas and then let's see how it goes. So it's a bit of a quagmire for me. So I don't know if anyone has had that kind of experience and how to go with it.
Felix just raised the hand.
Yeah, so I had a little bit bad experiences of laissez-faire. Oh, just let them do what they want, because there's no strategy or orientation and there's no sense of achievement because you don't know what you're contributing to. So if you say one of the main benefits of OKR is focus, then the question is, how do you focus? Do you focus inside the team, maybe for one iteration? But it's usually helpful to say, okay, what is the bigger picture that we're contributing to? So you also have some sense of achievement and not just say like, oh, we had an idea, but we don't know if it's actually worth it or impactful. So try to at least have some kind of alignment and orientation.
Sandy?
I want to add to that, like, does this executive want to make sure that they didn't, like, they overlooked something? That might be the case. So adding to what Felix said, it might be a good idea to have like the thinking corridor of your, what did you say, like 5 strategic topics? Yeah, come up with the OKRs for that thinking corridor, but also please like look from your experience, like you're out on the market with the customers. Did I overlook anything? Did we overlook anything with the strategic themes, and feedback that to us?
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Aisha, I hope in the 3 minutes you had some ideas how you cope with that situation. So thanks everyone for your questions and for your feedback, for engaging in the discussion. That makes these LeanCoffies very valuable for everyone, I think. So I hope to see you next month again. Sandy will be hosting the next session, but I'm sure many of you will be there too again. So have a nice day and see you next month again.
Yeah, thank
you
you.
very
See you.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
It was a
Bye.
great
Take care.
opportunity to talk together. Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor
Thanks.
Felix, Sandy, and
Yeah,
all.
thanks,
Bye.
Natalia. Bye-bye.
Thank you.